YouTube. How you all doing? Happy New Year to you, by the way. I know I said I was going to do another story, and this is a continuation of Critter Tales. This particular story is on raccoons, or my run-in with some raccoons. Now, first, let me give you a little background on raccoons. They're not like the cute little cuddly animals you see on Walt Disney cartoons or whatnot. They can be some vicious animals if they want to or need to be, especially if you got one backed up in a corner. Because they can hiss and they can snarl and they got some sharp teeth. And let me tell you, like I said, they're very, very intelligent animals. But anyway, this particular tale happened some years ago at the first house we were at, Cheryl and I, and it was back in the summer. I remember going outside and enjoying the day, and we had just had a deck built and we had it enclosed. And I was standing outside and I happened to look up and I saw a raccoon on top of my neighbor's house, on top of the roof, right next door to us. I mean, this raccoon was doing some acrobatic something which looked like something out of like a monkey climbing a tree, except he used the house for a tree. At that time, houses over there, they had a vent on top of the roof, near the attic or crawl space. And this particular raccoon, how he was on top of the roof, and he managed to maneuver himself and go inside the vent. And it was just like a little divider. It could open itself up to go inside, and that's what it was doing. And it did this for a few days. And I'm looking at this, wow, she got a raccoon up there. I know it's going to be making a lot of damage up there. So I told her about it, and she told her friend about it, and somehow he was able to get into their attic and crawl space, and he boarded it up from the inside of the house. So this raccoon, the next day, doing his number, he came over and couldn't get in. So the raccoon looked over at the next house, my house. And just like they climbed from one tree to another tree, well, he climbed from that house to my house. And what was helping him was the indoor.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The thing I told you we had built, the indoor screened or deck.
Okay.
But anyway, that helped him to get on top of the roof. And he used our vent. We had a vent just like theirs. And next thing you know, that was home. So the next few nights, you could hear this raccoon scurrying about up in the attic, through the ceiling. I mean, it was making a bunch of noise, scratching, knocking all up against the walls and whatnot. And eventually, I believe this raccoon had baby raccoons. So it was up there for a while. Also, this raccoon made itself such at home every night between 8:30 and 8:45. He would leave the crawl space. Like I said, they're nocturnal. They come out at night. That's another thing. Raccoons come out at night mainly. Sometimes you might see them during the day, but they love the night or the evening. So anyway, about that time, 8:30, 8:45, he would come out of that crawl space, out of that little vent, and go over to our garbage can and help herself. Eating good. And it did this here for about a week. Meanwhile, I could hear him all up in the attic doing whatever. I knew they was peeing, boo-booing, and whatever else they was doing. I knew it was making a lot of damage up there. So I finally called animal control. Told them that I believe I have a raccoon living up in my attic and whatnot, and might have even had babies up there. So one day the guy came out and he told me, he brought a cage, a raccoon cage. And he said, okay. He said, a raccoon comes out here about 8:30, 8:45 every night. Put this cage right here by the garbage can. When the raccoon comes, he's trapped. But first wait till you trap it.
What about the tuna?
If the kitten's up there, kittens or babies up there, first trap it. Because don't go up there with her mama up there. That's the main thing. First, wait till she's trapped. Now, I said, wait a minute. You said I got to go up there and get some baby raccoon? He said, yeah, I can't go in your house and up there and get them, but that's what you have to do. I'm like, what? Now, how in the heck I'm going to get up there to get some baby raccoons out of the attic or crawl space? Now, I knew I had to do it. And just like said, that night, I heard the trap go off. I went outside, checked it out. She was in there. And she was looking at me like, if I could just get out of this cage, I'll bite the snot out of you. She was hissing and she was snarling. She was mad as everything. I said, okay, I got her. So next thing I said, I got to go over this space here. Now, like I said, this is at night. This was about 9 o'clock at night. Now, there's no light up there whatsoever. I went into the closet because that's where it led up to the attic. You might see them in some houses. They got that little trap door. And I pushed open the door. All I had was like a little flashlight. And I asked, I think one of my daughters to give me like a little laundry bin, a plastic bin or something. As I said, if I can get them, I can put them in here maybe. And I put some gloves on, thick gloves on. So I climb up there, and it's pitch black. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And I knew you had to stay on the studs, because if you got off the studs, ain't nothing but drywall. You could actually fall through the ceiling, and then you have a bigger problem. So all this insulation up there, I'm breathing all this dust, smelling all this piss. They had made a mess up there. And I'm flashing the light, where they are. I know they're at. And I look over in the corner, and I see about 5 of them. 5 baby raccoons. I look at these, and I shine a light on them, and they see me, and they hissing and snarling too, just like their mama. Showing their little sharp little baby teeth. I'm like, ain't this a trip? I said, I gotta get these things. Meanwhile, I can't stand up. I'm more or less crawling, trying to stay on the studs. Next thing I know, I got off the stud. My foot almost went through the drywall. And my daughter, she slept under there. And it cracked it a little bit. And I said, oh, God, I'll make a mess. If I make a hole in this thing, it'll really be messed up. So anyway, I crawl up there, trying to get them. I grabbed the first one. And even though they were snarling at me, they were docile. I put one in. Then I put the second one in. I put the third one in a little bin, plastic bin that I told you I brought. Then the fourth one. But it's always one. Mm-hmm. This last one, he ran from it to the other side. I'm like, oh, God, I got to maneuver around to try to go get it. And he running back and forth. Wouldn't let me get him for the nothing. I said, I got to get him because the mama's not up here. I don't want this thing to die and then be decaying up here. But I didn't want it to die. I wanted to get it. So after a while, I was able to finally get this one baby raccoon. And I put the last one in the bin. I had 5 of them in there. I brought them down. I put a little food and a little water in there too before I closed it all up. Went back outside. I put the bin right next to the cage of their mama so you can say, this here your babies. And before I did this, let me tell you, one of my daughters, when I brought the raccoons out, she looked at them and she said, oh, they so cute. Oh, can we keep it? I said, no, you can't keep this thing. They look cute now, but they grow up. So anyway, I put them there, and I left them there. And the following morning, I called the animal control guy, and he came out, and he picked them up. He said, I'm going to take them and release them out some forest preserve somewhere. I said, good. And I thought that was the end of my raccoon problems. And it was for a while. Anyway, some months later, and at this time, one of my other daughters was staying with us, and my granddaughter. At that time, my granddaughter, she might have been about 6, 7 months or so, and my daughter had a playpen in the room.
Crib,
I guess you would call it. Yeah, the crib. So anyway, one night I'm in bed and my daughter comes to me and she said, Daddy, there's a raccoon up there in the ceiling, but it looks like it's about to come down from the ceiling into the room. I said, what? So I get up out of bed and I go take a look. And I go in that closet area like where I went up before, because that's where I had to go through. And right on the trap door, which really wasn't nothing but plywood, there was this raccoon sitting on top of it. Now, I'm over here, I try to knock plywood up some, or trying to get it to go back or get off of here. But while it's sitting there, the plywood is slowly starting to crack from the weight of the raccoon. I said, oh God, this thing gonna fall through here. So it just so happened, I got my coat, because I figured I might have a situation here, and my gloves. I told my daughter to go get one of them plastic bins again. And I said, after you get that, take my daughter and you out of the room, because I don't know what's going to happen when this thing falls through. So she did that. So I'm left up there holding the plywood up, hoping it don't crack. But it's slowly cracking from the weight of this raccoon. And I'm like, oh my God. And after about 10 minutes or so, it gave way. I had a full-grown raccoon in my arms. I'm like, oh my God. Now, you know, they can sometimes carry rabies and whatnot. And like I said, they can bite, scratch, and snarl you and tear your behind up. It just so happens, this raccoon must have been sick. Because all it did was look at me with the saddest little eyes. I felt sorry for him. But still, I knew it was a raccoon. So I took him and put him in the plastic bin, covered it up, and I walked outside. This was at this time, it had to be about, 1 o'clock in the morning or whatnot. I walked about a block and a half from my house. And I opened up the bin and shook him out. Because I didn't want him to come back. Because they could come back. They knew where they were staying. So I shook him out and put him in there. And came on back to the house. And I had to find now something to fix that area that was now open. And I had to find some wood about the size of the trap door and whatnot. And I was able to fix it and maneuver it so nothing else could come through there. And I taped it all up as well. The next morning, I looked outside, and that raccoon was in the same position where I dropped him. Now, at this time, kids were going back and forth, going to school. I said, these kids, I don't want them to mess with this thing. They could bite them or whatever. I didn't want nothing to happen to them. So I called animal control again to come on out. I said, there's a raccoon about a block or so from my house, and it's just sitting there. And this was during the daytime, too. That's why I knew it was sick. It didn't go anywhere. And I said, I don't want anyone to get hurt, especially any small child. So the man came on back out, picked up the raccoon, and took him away. But I tell you, it was a crazy, crazy, crazy time for me dealing with these critters. And that was just the beginning of dealing with some raccoons. But those two was the main ones, especially when that raccoon came down in my hands. But anyway, that's part of my little critter tales. I might talk about the next one when I happen to have some cats. Not by, how you put
Choice.
it? By choice, but by accident. I end up taking care of some. But these are my critter tales. I hope you liked them. I hope you enjoyed them. This is a part of my life adventures that somehow I fall into or get into. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy your evening and have a great year. Bye now.